CCENT ICND1 Part 7. So let's take a look at switch security a bit. So notice here I have a 192.168.1.2. I made a note to myself to remind myself it's FA03. I have another client here that's PC6 at a 192.168.1.3. We'll be working with these two PCs in this example. So I'm going to go into the switch. And I'm going to type in show port security. And you'll notice nothing is shown. So that's a common mistake, is people do all the settings and they think it should work the way it's supposed to, and when they do show port security, nothing shows. What that does, it tells me that they haven't turned on port security first. So I go to configure terminal. There's a switch. How about we actually go in the interface first? I gotta pay attention. I want to say switch port security, enter. Notice it told me that it's a dynamic port. Okay, we need to go ahead and force this to be an access port. So what are we going to type? Switch port what? Mode, yes, and access. Now let's do switch port security, and well, nothing showed up. So did it work? We can tell by going to do show port security. You notice we have something here. Fast Ethernet 03. It says it is in fact turned on. So let's go and set some rules. What I want to do is say, okay, switch port security. I want to set a maximum of only one person or one machine. Only one machine is allowed to be on here. That's the first one. Then we're going to say, there we go. Then we're going to say, okay, well, what if someone breaks that? Well, we need to set a violation. We're going to say shutdown. We had other options. We had protect, restrict, and shutdown. Protect and restrict are pretty much alike, except protect, what that does is it just basically logs that something occurred. Restrict says only one's allowed to be on there. So for example, if I unplug this PC and plug another one in, it won't work, providing I code it correctly. But if I plug my original PC back in, it'll work. In shutdown mode, I plug my first PC's plugged in, and let's say I set it to that PC. Plug the second one in, it doesn't work anymore. But try to plug the first one in, and it's still down. Shutdown says violations occurred. Administrator has to bring it back up. Okay. So we set the security. Now we need to map the actual MAC address of what is the one that is going to allow. Switch port security, hit a question mark. We can say MAC address, and we can type the MAC address in, or sticky. I'm going to use sticky. Sticky basically says that the first machine that it detects, that the MAC address flows through, it's going to remember it. So for example, if I'm setting up a network, I can plug all the machines in, turn on this option, and then it will automatically bind it. So what I'm going to do now is just get a little traffic action going here. I'm going to ping 192.168.1.1. Oh, I'm on the switch. I thought I was on the client for a second. So I go to the client, and I'm going to go 192.168.1.1. Then we got some information there. The reason why the switch isn't going is because there was no IP address set. I'm going to put over here my notes so I remember. I need to go ahead and add in a management VLAN. So we'll be able to actually ping in gateway. Okay, so some traffic that went through. Let's see what happened. We're going to do a show port security. Okay. No violations occurred yet, right? Let's see what the settings look like now. We're going to show port security, but actually on the interface, Fast Ethernet 03. Let's get the whole story going on. And notice here, it tells me that the port security is enabled, it's turned on. My link's up. The violation mode says shutdown. Maximum number of MAC addresses is 1. It learned about 1, and it's a sticky address. And that's the MAC address of the PC that it remembers. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and unplug this PC. Unplug this PC right here. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in another PC to that same port. So notice there it's trying to negotiate. And let's try to do something with it. Ping 192.168.1.1. Bam. Notice it turned red. So let's see what happened there. Notice there it said the interface changed to down. If I do a show port security interface fast Ethernet 03, notice now it's a secure down. That baby is down now. Violation mode says shut down. Down. I broke the rule. And what else we can do is if we just do show port security, you'll see that the security violation count is at 1. So let's fix that, or try to fix it. Remove that. We plug in this guy, the original guy. Notice there, it's still down. Right, as I told you before, is on shutdown, it is down until you bring it up. I'll show you the most common wrong way to do this is going into it, global configuration mode, interface fast Ethernet 03, and saying no shutdown. You're so used to doing that when something goes down. You hit enter. Notice it is still down. Show IP interface brief. Oh, use the Control A there to go to the beginning of the screen. Do show IP interface brief, and you will see that it is in fact down, down. Because in this mode, what you have to do is you have to shut it down physically, administratively, and then bring it back up. So you have to say shutdown, then no shutdown. And you'll see now we are on 3, we are up. We're back in business. So we can go ahead and wipe these out right here. Okay. What I want to show next is IP routing. I'm going to show you something real quick. Over here on the left I have a layer 3 device. Layer 3 switch. And one thing to keep in mind is when you use this baby for inter VLAN routing, make sure you turn it on. What I mean by that is go in the global configuration mode, and to turn on that layer 3 functionality you have to type in IP routing. Until you do that, you will not have that layer 3 functionality that you want. Alright, what I want to do next is I want to add the management VLAN in and set a gateway. So I'm going to go to the switch. I want to make it so I can telnet into this or secure shell into it, but it'll manage it. So if I do a do show IP interface brief, show IP interface brief, you'll see if I go all the way down, we have something called interface VLAN 1. This is not VLAN 1, this is interface VLAN 1. So I just need to come over here and say, okay, interface VLAN 1, and we need to just set an IP address on it and give it an IP address in the same subnet. So something like 192.168.1.5. 192.168.1.5. If I do a do show IP interface brief, I keep saying UP for some reason, IP interface brief. Other people edit. I say no edit. Let you watch my mistakes. Let you laugh. Notice we're down because like any other kind of adapter, this is a virtual adapter, but it's still an adapter. I need to go ahead, still an interface, I'm going to say no shutdown. Now, hit the up arrow, come all the way down to it, and we are in fact up. If we wanted to, we could set a gateway here. If we want to type in IP full gateway, we can say, okay, point it to 1. And we go further and say, okay, I want to allow people to telnet into it. So I can go in and say line VTY04, password, pick a better one than this, please, login. So now, let's do some tests on this. I'm going to go to this PC right here, and let's see if we can ping it. Ping 192.168.1.5. You thought it was going to work for a second. You're like, he messed up again. Remember, we'd have an ARP process here, right? I need the MAC address. So now if I ping it again, it will work just fine. Let's see if Telnet works. Telnet 192.168.1.5. Password being Cisco. And notice I'm now in the switch. And notice here, just like in routers, if I don't set a password for the privilege mode, I can't go past user mode on it. I'm going to exit out of this. So we took a look at the management VLAN and gateway. Now, real world, you're going to want to avoid setting things on VLAN 1, but that's not at this level class. So at this point, it worked. Good to go. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Okay. What I'm going to do real quick is just do a quick spanning tree command. In the class, you should have went through a bit about what spanning tree is, the fact that it picks the lowest priority number for the root, and if the priorities are the same, it picks the lowest MAC address. That should already be down pat. So let's take a look at our switch. You know what? Let's go ahead and add some switch action here. I like to move it up like this, just to make it a little more interesting. And we're going to make a connection here. How about I use the right cable? That'd be awesome. Now granted, it's going to flip automatically, but let's do it proper. Switch to switch, cross, switch to switch, cross, switch to switch, cross. Give it a second to do its thing. And while it's coming in, I'm going to go to this switch right here called switch 1. I'm going to run the command show spanning tree. Keep in mind, as a reminder, the root ID is what the ID is, the information of the actual root in this setup. The bridge ID is what you are. So notice that the MAC address of the root is not the MAC address. I'm sorry, it is the same. Since it's the same, that means you are the root. If I take a look at another switch over here, hey, 1 out of 3, good guess, huh? If I do show spanning tree, you'll notice that the root ID's MAC address ends in 09E3. My MAC address ends in 0381. So I'm not the root. So the one thing I want to show is if you want to force this client to be the root, this switch to be the root, we simply can go into global configuration mode and say, okay, spanning tree for VLAN 1, I want to make you the root and you're going to be the primary. We have a choice between primary and secondary, as you can see here. I'm going to say, make me the primary. Okay. And with any luck, if I do show, let's just go in privilege mode, show spanning tree, you'll see that the ID of the bridge ID, which is me, and the root ID is the same. It says even below it, this bridge is in fact the root. Alright, thanks for coming in. We're going to do a quickie in a minute on some more telnet commands. And then I'll take probably a day or two break, and then wrap up with IPv6 and some frame relay. Good to have you guys. Talk to you later.